Liver King has recently come under fire for lying about his use of steroids. Derek published a video exposing Liver King's lie.
If he was natural with a less impressive physique, he would likely not be as viral as he is on social media.
Make sure to check it out. He did a phenomenal job. In the video, he shows the leaked email in which Brian Johnson, aka Liver King, outlines what he's using. Turns out he was juiced up the whole time, claiming to be natty. Very subprimal. Ludwig recently pretended to be a hair surgeon after we introduced him to the Norwood scale and assessed Liver King's hair loss as well. Let's hear what he had to say.
Look, there's an easy way to figure out if he's taking roids or not. Just take the hat off, okay? We're working with like a Norwood 7 over here. No universe that natty, all right? Daddy Steroid's been taking him for all he's worth.
You know what's not subprimal? Discussing how steroid use, along with other performance-enhancing supplements, affects hair loss in men. Let's take a look at the literature. Before we get into it, I just want to remind you that we have a weekly newsletter that talks about hair loss and offers information on hair restoration. Be sure to subscribe to it at hairlinesnews.com. Performance-enhancing drugs and substances have been an integral part of athletics and society for decades. People are looking to boost their athletic performance and their physique for improved self-confidence. Many have experimented with these substances, ranging from over-the-counter supplements to anabolic androgenic steroids and beyond. One recent study looking at 600 male gym steroid users in the Eastern Province region of Saudi Arabia found that 77% reported side effects, including 14% with hair loss. But how did we get here? Where did the obsession with boosting our bodies come from? Ancient Greeks drank special concoctions such as viscous opium juice called dupe that became known more generally as dope. Meals such as sheep hearts and testicles were eaten to enhance male performance, not unlike the Liver King.
I'm gonna take a huge bite out of these testicles.
Ancient Romans used hallucinogenic substances such as mushrooms, plants, and sesame seeds to aid performance. In this period, the origins of strychnine, an amphetamine-like substance, had its beginning. The Romans also fed horses hydromel, which is honey-flavored alcohol, to increase the animal's competitive edge. Fast forwarding, androsterone was first isolated in 1931 and testosterone subsequently synthesized in 1935 in Germany. On a darker note, during World War II, German scientists began synthesizing anabolic steroids and testing them on humans. This included studying chronic wasting on concentration camp inmates. These testosterone derivatives may have been given to German soldiers to increase levels of aggression and endurance. Anabolism is defined as any state in which nitrogen is differentially retained in lean body mass, either through stimulation of protein synthesis and or decreased breakdown of protein anywhere in the body. Anabolic steroids are technically called anabolic androgen steroids, or AAS. They are drugs that mimic the effects of testosterone. Anabolic steroids increase the protein synthesis that takes place within cells. This has the consequence of cellular tissue buildup, or anabolism, particularly in the muscles. All anabolic steroids currently in use are either derivatives of testosterone or they are structural modifications of testosterone. Testosterone binds to the androgen receptor to exert its androgenic activity, but it is also 5-alpha reduced in some target tissues, including the male urogenital tract, skin, liver, and sebaceous glands. 2-dihydrotestosterone, or DHT. It can also be aromatized to estradiol and exert estrogenic activities. The latter two actions are highly undesirable in anabolic drugs. 5-alpha reduction is the major cause of hair loss, and aromatization causes feminizing side effects. To review, DHT is a metabolite of testosterone, formed when the enzyme 5-alpha reductase converts free testosterone to DHT. DHT can bind to androgen receptors in susceptible hair follicles and cause them to shrink, ultimately leading to hair loss in DHT-sensitive zones. In a study on transgender men who took long-term testosterone therapy, Mild frontotemporal hair loss developed in 33% of participants and moderate to severe alopecia in 31%. In another study, 17% of participants developed androgenetic alopecia. More serious adverse effects of anabolic steroids include endocrine dysfunction, liver dysfunction, cardiovascular changes, and behavioral changes. Anabolic steroids are only part of the story when it comes to hair loss in weightlifters. Anabolic supplements and other performance-enhancing supplements are frequently consumed as a safer, cheaper, and easier to obtain alternative. And while they may not be as potent as anabolic steroids, they may still lead to accelerated hair loss. It usually takes 6 to 9 months after consuming anabolic supplements to notice hair loss. Shockingly, an analysis of supplements obtained from US retailers in 2007 revealed that 25% of these were contaminated with anabolic androgenic steroids, and 11% were contaminated with stimulants. In 2015, the New York Attorney General sent cease and desist letters to 4 national retailers after an investigation revealed that only 5 of 20 herbal supplement products tested consistently contain active ingredients as listed. Many weightlifters are under the false impression that they can just block DHT with a DHT blocker and continue to take anabolic supplements without hair loss as a side effect. As the S.H.A.P.I.R.O chart shows us, multiple other biochemical pathways can cause hair loss. For example, IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor, is another major player when it comes to the potential for hair loss from anabolic supplements. Also, growth hormone, another very common supplement, can boost IGF-1. IGF-1 can in turn increase DHT levels. In fact, supplementing testosterone will often lead to a rise in DHT levels at the follicular unit and may require higher doses of finasteride to help prevent progressive hair loss. Another common supplement, creatine, is used to augment muscle mass. Creatine is made of 3 amino acids, arginine, glycine, and L-methionine, and raises DHT levels directly. Arginine specifically is the most potent growth hormone secretagogue in man. A study in 2009 on college-aged rugby players showed that after 7 days of creatine loading, or a further 2 weeks of creatine maintenance dose, there was no change in serum testosterone levels. However, DHT levels increased by 56% after a week of creatine loading and remained 40% above baseline after 2 weeks of maintenance. However, a recent review article from 2021 raises doubts about this original creatine study. They point out that the results of the 2009 study have not been replicated, and that intense resistance exercise itself can cause increases in these androgenic hormones. Specifically, DHT was 23% lower in the creatine group compared to the placebo group. Thus, the small increase in DHT in the creatine group, in combination with a small decrease in the placebo DHT response, explains the statistically significant increase in DHT in the creatine group. To date, 12 other studies have investigated the effects of creatine supplementation on testosterone. 2 studies reported small, physiologically insignificant increases in total testosterone, while the remaining 10 studies reported no change in testosterone concentrations. In 5 of these studies, free testosterone, which the body uses to produce DHT, was also measured, and no increases were found. In summary, the review articles concluded that the current body of evidence does not indicate that creatine supplementation increases total testosterone, free testosterone, DHT, or causes hair loss or baldness, though further research is clearly warranted on this topic. S.H.A.P.I.R.O proposed an anabolic index rating to allow a physician to give an actual index of hair loss risk. On this list, you can see that anabolic steroids have the greatest number of points at 35, immediately placing a person into the extreme risk level of hair loss. On the other hand, creatine is given a 15-point rating, which would place the person into a medium risk level for hair loss. Let me now segue away from PEDs and hair loss and give you an observation of mine in researching this topic, which relates back to Liver King. During his apology video, he says this:
ultimately, why do I do them? when I talk about the 85% of the population that suffers from self-esteem issues. That's me. I'm part of that statistic. This is why I work myself to death in the gym. This is why I do 12 to 15 blood-burning workouts a week, just to feel like I'm okay. Still, I have to absolutely crush myself to do so, and I'm wrecked physically and cognitively, and hormone replacement has helped in a profound and significant way.
He even brought up ab etching and ab implants as plastic surgeries that he claims he never had. To me, the similarities between why people get cosmetic surgery and why many take PEDs are obvious. They want to feel better about themselves. They want to be judged favorably by others. It boosts their confidence in a more significant way than the size of their muscles. Now let me tell you what I'm concerned about. As with cosmetic procedures, where people sometimes choose to go to unqualified providers, or worse yet, perform these procedures on themselves, such as the thread lifters or people who put filler into their own face, many in the PED game are getting advice and product recommendations from questionable sources. Considering how young people start with PEDs, we ought to figure out a way to route people to credible information so they can make safe, informed decisions and maintain their health properly for years to come. Since you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out our video on the most common medication used to prevent hair loss.